All right, let's get started, everyone. Welcome to ATB Special International Women's Day event for 2025. We do this each year. Several of you will remember and know that we do this each year, and we like to hold this event the same week, International Women's Day, and we're going to hear a lot about that tonight, all about empowering and uplifting women in the space. I'm just waiting for my slides to click through, Matt. Need more mic? I can go to the handheld. I'm just going to use my... Okay, this is me. Tonight we are going to have me giving announcements, talk about events, and then we're going to have 5 presentations from 5. They're actually all coincidentally, hello Shanice, they're all coincidentally from sponsors of all things blockchain, as it turns out tonight. Just a little bit of extra value add for our sponsors that we've got. Speakers. We're going to have a Q&A if there's time at the end, and where you get a chance to ask some questions, and then it's going to be on to networking at the Prince Consort, which is across the road basically. All things blockchain, we're a community event organisation. Most of you are familiar with the work that we do. We hold these events once every month, and we also hold a whole range of Ask Me Anythings, AMAs online right throughout the year. So we love putting on events, educating and building community in the space. None of this happens without a team. And we have quite a few working behind the scenes. Actually, a big round of applause once again for Renee for that spread tonight. Where's Renee? Where's Renee? That was awesome. She's come all the way from Aldi at the Gold Coast with that spread. So thank you, Renee. She's done a great job in a cyclone conditions as well. So I wasn't going to mention that, but there it is. International Women's Day. The theme, the reason for the Accelerate Action, that's actually the theme, the overarching theme of International Women's Day for this year. And we decided to riff off that and accentuate that. There are a number of different bullet points that sit under that theme, Accelerate Action. The one that I thought was most relevant tonight was supporting women and girls into leadership, decision-making, business and STEM, because being technologists, most of us, I think that's particularly interesting. Powered tonight by the women of Deca. Hands up if you're in women of Deca. Women of Deca, there's a few. Yeah, look, there are a few here. Lisa Hornery from Kraken. We've got Rachel Jones there, of course. Yay! Women of Deca doing great things, holding events, bringing together women. And there are how many events this week just with women of Deca? There's at least 4, I think I've seen, around the country, dotted around the country. Women in Digital Economy, powered by Danielle Marie, from whom you're going to hear later on. Also all about empowering, obviously, women in technology. Thanks to all of our sponsors. We're up around 12, 13 sponsors now for ATB. We're really grateful. They help to put on that spread than the drinks that you've seen tonight. So actually a big round of applause for all our sponsors. Thanks, guys. Collaboration partners, we work with a number of organisations both in Australia and internationally. Wave of Innovation, they've got a conference coming up actually the 2nd to 4th of May at the RACV, check that one out. Off-chain, we work with coming out of the west coast of the US. Women in Digital Economy, and the guys at Australian Crypto Convention are good friends of ours as well. We always enjoy helping to support what they do. The March edition of the Community Hub has just gone out. Our Community Hub highlights events that are on not only in Brisbane and Australia, but around the world. So we try to pull in information that we hope will be valuable and build community in one place. We give you all these QR codes, which should be clickable if you want to sign up to anything. Always keen for you to join and add on your following to our socials. You'll find us in all the usual places, on X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much you name it. I don't know if we've got Blue Sky yet, but maybe that's coming. Events, I love events. I've had event withdrawals. We had 2 within a week, and I've had nothing for a month. So I'm already working on April, May and June events, because I live for events basically. So I'm really thrilled to be here tonight. Coming up, one of those online AMAs next Monday night. One of our good friends, Matt Murlahan from Tax on Chain, will be speaking. Matt is a really interesting one because he is actually an ETH maxi by his own admission, but he's a CPA and a professional accountant. You know, Tax on Chain obviously provide a lot of crypto tax advice, but he's a really interesting guy and he loves his pudgy penguins. He's actually the infographic for the night I've got. He's asked me especially to have his pudgy penguins avatar next to his actual human one. So he really is a funny guy and very smart. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll see what we can cram into an hour with Matt next Monday night. And the launch yesterday of the Virgo event. This is the one I'm already working on. Where's Viola? Viola from Virgo Crypto Exchange. They're a Canadian-based exchange with a growing presence here in Australia. Viola heads up the marketing effort for that. We're thrilled to have Jay flying in from Melbourne, and they've got actually an exclusive launch. I can't say quite what it is yet. It's embargoed, but there's going to be an exclusive launch of a new product in their product set, which is going to be really interesting and is going to expand their offering in quite an interesting way when we think about some of the competitors in the space. I can't say much more than that, but again, you'll find all of these on Meetup and also on our Luma. Sorry? Clickbait? Yeah. They need to sign up. Yeah. Speaking of conferences, one thing I love more than events is a good conference. The Digital Economy Council have their annual conference coming up on the Gold Coast, June 16 to 18. And a few of us are going to be helping out with that again this year, actually, which I'm really looking forward to. It's going to be 3 days and nights, I'm sure, of good workshops, sessions, and some good side events at night, I'm sure, as well. Where's Nick? Where's my friend Nick? Thank you, Nick. Always keen to have our volunteers help out, and Nick has been helping us now 3 events in a row. And he even came straight from the mechanic tonight, where he had some trouble getting his car back in time. So thank you, Nick. We're really appreciative of our volunteers. I've got a lot of shout-outs tonight. I'm going to race through these, but Advanced Queensland do provide us this space as people who are working in innovation. They give us this space for free, so we're very grateful to Advanced Queensland. Coast Spaces manage this space, and we work very closely with Natalie and also Holly and Sophie on the team. You'll see them at the front desk if you come here during business hours. They really do go to extra lengths to help us run our events, and just always helping us to improve each time we put on an event. Just the little things. So shout out to Coast Spaces. They also manage innovation spaces down on the Gold Coast, I believe, too. Pixel Castle, you're seeing a guy called Matt over there. I can't tell you his full name, but he is running the... I think he's not doxed, actually, in crypto terms. No, Matt is helping us with our AV setup, and you're going to see a few extra features as we go through tonight. And hopefully the Zoom callers are enjoying the session as well. They should be getting the audio and the video. Hello, Zoom. Hello, Zoom. I don't know where you are. Over there. Probably that camera. Hello, Zoom callers. That'll be embarrassing because this is also going to go on YouTube later. But anyway, Stel Koutsis, another shout out. Stel is a good friend of ours, growing relationship. He's just actually helping us to do a bit of not a rebrand, but just to improve, I guess, the look and feel of a lot of our marketing material and collateral. Yeah, something like that. He's doing a really professional job and taking us to the next level. Like the icons actually line up, you know, they're actually really, and they're spaced evenly. So no, he's doing an excellent job. Stel is based here in Brisbane, and he runs a graphic design agency. He also heads up the BlockChat startup. If you know BlockChat, it's like a Discord, Telegram mashup, if I can use that term, which he's been building for about 3 years now with a team of developers. So Stel, good friend of ours. That's probably enough from me. I'm going to introduce Viola. Now, I've got some scripted stuff. I really probably feel like I should do it spontaneously because I know most of you all, but I'm going to read it. I'll try not to be too corny. I'll look these up on the internet. Viola has spent more than 6 years in digital marketing. She's previously worked at Axel Ventures, which actually feels like a while ago now, but what's that been, 12, 18 months? Axel Ventures as the head of marketing, among other organisations. She's a co-founder, interestingly tonight, of She Leads Australia, whose mission it is to create a supportive community for entrepreneurial women, providing networking opportunities, resources and inspiration to build successful businesses and career. I'm going to give her mic.
Thanks.
For Viola. You can use that. Or
Hello? Can you hear me through this?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay. I don't have a script as well. I feel like this is quite an intimate and personal kind of setting. And for International Women's Day, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for inviting me. It's always good to kind of share my personal experience or I guess give a little bit of insight of how I got into the space, because I feel like that's an interesting story. It actually started right here in this building, upstairs in one of those co-working desks. I was an intern to a cryptocurrency startup called Travel by Bit. They were very early in terms of helping people adopt crypto payments. because cryptocurrency is still not being adopted as a payment for daily transaction yet. But at that point of time, we were trying to help the merchants downstairs, like people selling banh mi, people selling hot dogs, to accept Bitcoin. It was a very new thing. With that, we grew it up to a bigger campaign. So we got the Brisbane airport accepting crypto. So Brisbane airport is actually the first cryptocurrency accepting airport. It was on the news. It was great. It got us some exposure. So back then, cryptocurrency was probably under 10K. So just gives me goosebumps thinking about it right now. So back then, I knew nothing about crypto, coming into the space with a marketing degree. So I didn't know much about it, honestly. And growing up in Hong Kong, we are in a classroom where we are fed information. We are guided by set guidelines. You fit the standards, and you get good grades, and then you graduate. So when I came here for Brisbane, I actually came here for QUT studying marketing. I found that the most useful thing from that whole experience was learning how to learn. Because I wasn't encouraged to ask the question that I needed to ask. So at that stage, I was just thinking, okay, this is actually the first time I'm learning how to learn by myself. So that skill really was useful to me along the way. And after, when I was in the startup, I was trying to figure out so many things. Like, other than marketing, I was learning what stablecoin is, like how to accept payment, how to teach other people how to accept payment. So at that point of time, in this whole journey, it was kind of intimidating, honestly, because as a female in the space, used to be hundreds of people filling up the whole room. Initially, it would be like just attending the events and then hosting the events. There would be hundreds of men mostly, and then handful of women. So in those spaces, I would feel so small because I didn't know much, like as compared to others that has been in the space for so much longer, or like have been working on different products. I would be just listening most of the time. So now speaking today, not trying to tell you that I am an expert in anything right now, but more so to tell you that by asking the right question, it could get you to places that you wanted to be. I think that's a very important thing throughout my journey. So after working in the startups, we were very lucky. It got the attention of Binance. So Binance Exchange invested into the startup, and it got us a lot of exposure, and then it got merged with another company. The company is still going. It's called Travala.com. You can now book your travel, flights and hotel, your whole holidays through crypto. So how amazing is that? It still exists. That startup have taught me a lot about crypto, but also it also taught me a lot of lessons in terms of how to learn on my own and also bring other people on the same journey. Because in a startup scenario, we don't have a lot of resources. It's usually just by actually going to the merchant door by door to get them to believe in you and to tell them like, hey, this thing will actually change the future. And now, into the future now, I would wonder like where those merchants are thinking about, like back in the days, like 7 years ago, like this team of people just like coming to the store, like asking them to accept Bitcoin. And now look at where we are now, like 150K, not sure where we are now at, maybe 140 now. But yeah, few years in crypto feels like a long, long time. So even though I've only worked for 6-7 years as a professional, it feels much longer. It feels like I've worked decades in the space. So after that experience working in the startup, I started working for Binance for a little bit and then going into other businesses as well. There's a lot of things in crypto overall, other than the exchange side of things. There are also amazing people building on the technology, developers working on amazing projects as well. So throughout the whole journey, I would say if I were to just give you a few pointers of like how to continue your journey or like how to get into the space, I would say to continuously stay curious and ask more questions. Because I feel like every single day there's still a lot of things that are being created that I don't fully know yet. Recently, I think it's app chain is also a really big topic recently. We tend to create a lot of acronyms and we make it really hard for other people to come in the space. But once you decode what all of words means, it suddenly makes sense. Like these things exist for reasons, and you understand why these things are being built, and then it just suddenly it all makes sense because the ecosystem is interconnected. The basic concept would evolve into something else as people build on it. So yeah, I feel like every single day when I'm coming to work, I now work for another cryptocurrency exchange called Virgo. So I feel like I'm still learning constantly because a new coin being listed most recently, like AI coin, I was like looking at it, I was like, oh, I don't know about much about AI, but I know a lot other things that are relating to AI. Then you use the existing concept to learn about other concepts. So it kind of built up into a much bigger pile of knowledge in the end. So to conclude, that is, I feel like, summarize the quick journey of 6-7 years of being in the space. I'm still really excited about this space because not only because of the speculative side, but because I'm seeing a lot of people building on the technology, still really passionate about it, are still in the space. A lot of people that I've met back then, in like 7 years ago, are still hosting events, are still really active, still building constantly. I feel like that is really exciting. But I'm also really excited about the mainstream adoption of the whole thing, because other than the financial implications or the speculative side, we are seeing a lot more traditional space application as well. So all in all, I find that by asking the right questions, in the long run, I'm not only building my own knowledge, but also in the sense that these questions and answers are also helping me solve a lot more issues for my clients and the companies that I work for as well. So as a quick call to action, to wrap this up, if you are still early in your journey or midway into your journey using other exchanges, I have some Bitcoin gift card with me if you wanted to claim some free BD. Yes, if you are keen to start your investment journey, feel free to talk to me after this. Otherwise, happy International Women's Day.
That was great. Thank you. Wow, that was good. And Bitcoin is on a bit of fire sale at the moment, so it's probably a good time to actually pick some up. Next up, we have Debora Kocak. Debora Kocak is the former COO of Pummel, a Web3 wellness platform based on the Gold Coast, actually, with Damien King. She has a Bachelor of Law and a Master's degree in Business, and when she's not busy running, I wrote this. I didn't even get AI to write these. When, you actually have to use your brain still sometimes, but mostly we get AI to do the text these days. When she's not busy running her R&D grant writing business, Granton, Debora makes films. Are you still making films? Wow, tell us about it tonight. With Gold Site Pictures, it's Debora Kocak.
I'll go over here. It's better. How's everyone doing? All right, sweet. Well, to get us started, who's new to the Web3 space? Who's like a Web3 native? Who's Web3 expert? Okay, some of you guys are lying because I saw like 3 hands up. So who is looking for a job in Web3? Put your hand up. Okay, who runs a startup in Web3? Who runs a startup in Web2? Just one guy. Loser, I'm kidding. Okay, great. So I'm Debora, nice to meet you guys. Well, I started my journey probably about 5 years ago when I was listening to like really weird podcasts. And I was like, they were talking about something called NFTs. And back then, I so wish I had listened to them. Oh my gosh. Same with Bitcoin. I wasn't as lucky. I got in probably at like 20K. I so wish I was that dude that the guy that lost his hard drive, poor guy. But like, man, if you had bought that many Bitcoins, Jesus, I wouldn't be here speaking anyway. But anyways, so I studied law and business really because I didn't know what to do with my life. So I went to Bond, pretty much like tried surfing and a bunch of other crap. And I was doing startups for a long time, and I failed at most of them. And I'll be super honest. I did every entrepreneurship course you could do. I did every accelerator program. I went to every startup event. I really just kissed everyone's ass. I mean, that's really what I did. And it didn't really lead me anywhere. And so I ended up getting a very boring job as a lawyer, which is crazy. But you gotta start somewhere. And sometimes you need those like derails to get to the right path. Anyways, I worked as a corporate tax lawyer, which everyone's like, oh my gosh, that sounds so boring. But I learned a lot because you work with startups all the time, whether it's helping them structure, whether it's helping them find their next business deal, whatever it is. And I ended up meeting like so many founders. And while I was doing that, I also was running my startups, like, well, trying to get them off the ground anyway, whatever you call them, side hustles. I call them practice. And I used to actually, some of you guys don't know this, but I actually used to run like an ecotourism company. So like we would go out to like Papua New Guinea and Fiji and like we'd plant coral and stuff. And like, how does this lead to Web3? Well, I'll get to it. Pretty much like we spent a lot of time like overseas and then we'd come back and actually met some like really interesting people on those trips, and that's sort of like goes back to you never know where your like next person is gonna come from, and like that person that's gonna unlock that next step for you. And that's how I got into those podcasts, and I started listening to Web3 stuff way before it was cool. Like I think now it's cool. But during that time, I actually met a founder called Damien King. And I ended up giving him like legal advice, which is funny because then I became his employee. But actually, I got into Web3 through him because back in the day, you know, you would sort of just find people at events. I mean, it still is like that today, but the way that I got into that startup was I was already so curious, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier, like so curious about what the Web3 space was, what it could offer, what I could do with my wallet, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then I got into it because of a Facebook post. So it's funny, you get into Web3 by using Web2 tools. Don't be afraid of that. I mean, people like look at Web2 being like, you guys are lame, but it's not really like that. We're gonna get everyone to become Web3 sooner rather than later, really. Anyways, so I transitioned from working a boring corporate tax job to cool Web3, and then became the chief operations officer there. And I think the reason why I ended up like jumping like 10 roles was because I was super like a jack of all trades, master of none, but like pretty good jack of all trades. And I think like that is such an important skill. Like if you can learn something and just start like applying it, holy shit, holy beep. I don't know. Anyways, I was like, YouTube is my favorite thing in a lot of ways because like you can learn so much. And nowadays with like AI and everything, it's so crazy. Like you can automate everything in your life and it's so crazy. But that's one skill like I totally would recommend anyone that's looking to like level up your business, level up your career, learn these skills that you might be afraid of, like the tools that you might be afraid of. Like don't be scared of that. Web3, okay, so pretty much I spent some time at Pummel. I was there for 3 years, and we got to work with Renee. It was lovely. Met Danielle, met so many amazing people who like kind of grew out of the Web3 little like womb. And you really do become like a bit of a family in a way, because the space is so small, but it feels so big. And I think you're right, like it's like dog years in this space. Like 1 year is like 10 years. So it's really cool. And then when you guys are looking for jobs, really be like also really conscious of kind of the tools that the Web3 people like to use. So like get really good at Twitter, get really good at Telegram, get really good at Discord, even though it's a bit dead right now, but Discord was like the place to be, and everything changes all the time. Like maybe next week it'll be Signal or something else. So don't let your age, your technical limitations or anything stop you. I would just really just like super practical advice, like just get freaking good at the tools that Web3 people like to use. And then eventually you'll learn the acronyms. So just keep saying HODL, 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 and they'll get you. Buy crypto, trade crypto. Something that I think like why Damien liked me when I was getting into it in the first place was I was already kind of like, I didn't know most of Web3 when I got in, I must admit, but I knew more than what a normal Web2 person did, and that was enough, because I could go to him and go, hey, did you see about this NFT, or like, did you hear about this, or did you hear about this crypto token? And all of a sudden he'd be like, whoa, you know so much. You just wing it, you know? That's really what you gotta do. Fake it till you make it. It's the same in the movie business, and I'll tell you about that too. But anyways, so Pummel was a great chapter. We traveled a lot, it was awesome. Great roller coaster rides. Like, we launched a token like right as Bitcoin crashed, so it was not a good time. And we learned so much about that. Like, if you're thinking about launching a token, like, don't, unless it's a meme token, maybe. I'll pre-buy it. Come to me, I'll buy jokes for the online people. Anyways, and then I was like, I'm tired of being an employee, so I started Granton. So Granton, pretty much like what we do, long story short, is we have a consulting firm, and I help a lot of startups and companies apply for grants and tax incentives, the R&D tax incentive being one of them. So if you're innovating, like, you need to come talk to me. But that one I started because a lot of Web3 companies like had no idea how to find grants and how to apply for them, or they would constantly fail at applying for them. So I sort of found a niche and ended up working with loads of Web3 companies. And the reason why I bring this up, not to toot my own horn, but you don't necessarily have to work for a Web3 company. You can provide them value. And that's how you can be your own boss, which is pretty nice. You can service people and actually like offer a solution, whether that is tech or service, whatever, and then you get to call yourself a Web3 company. That's really nice as well. And that's a sure way of accelerating your career as well. And then eventually, you make enough money that then you can start doing more fun stuff in your life. And that's where I'm at now, which is Gold Side Pictures. So now we make movies as well, and we've got our first feature film almost, that's gonna come out probably late this year. So I'm super excited about that part too. It is not about Web3, but we have used AI in some of it, which is super controversial. But yeah, getting there slowly. We should make a doco or something. Yeah, whatever. Anyone want to produce that or give me money for it? Come see me after. But I think that's probably my time. Perfect, thank you.
She did that completely off the cuff, by the way, so I love how it comes forth. You're actually Belgian in origin, is that right? It's Belgian, yeah, it's amazing. I love the accent. Gabby Lewis from Swyftx is next. Gabby, I think, is a bit of a luminary in the industry. She's very well respected. From my script, she has many years' experience in financial fraud investigations, including time spent as a lead intelligence analyst at Suncorp Group. It's coming from, I guess, TradFi across to Web3. Gabby has a bachelor's degree in criminology and criminal justice and has progressed within Swyftx to become the head of fraud and financial crime. It's Gabby Lewis from Swyftx.
Thanks, Matt. And thank you for having me here to speak today. My story is nowhere near as cool as Debora's and Viola's. However, it's all right. It's not the same level. But essentially, I'm going to talk to how I got to where I am today. As Matt said, I did come from traditional finance, and I think I've got a lot to say about the journey between the two. However, taking a step back to the very beginning of when I left school, I went to university and did criminology and criminal justice. And I remember in my very first lecture, we were sitting there and there was a room of 300, 400 people. And the lecturer turns around and says, put your hand up if you want to be a criminal profiler. And 99% of the room put their hand up because everyone wants to be the cool job on, you know, all those criminal shows and the likes. And they turn around and they said, well, luckily, Australia is actually pretty safe. So we don't have too many criminal profilers. You're going to have to go to South America and the likes. And, you know, I always thought that making a difference in the world, I had to go into some sort of law enforcement job. However, that truly isn't the reality. And I think kind of speaking to how I got to where I am today, one of the biggest things that I live by, and I was talking to Danielle about this earlier, is say yes to every single opportunity. The Jim Carrey movie Yes Man is something that I honestly live my life by, and I think it is both a blessing and a curse. It's a curse in that I'm very tired and I take on a lot and I do a lot of things. However, it's a blessing in that it has given me so many opportunities, and it's helped me step outside of my comfort zone and learn more. And so essentially after finishing university, it was funny enough, my 18-year-old brother turned around to me and he said, "You need to get your foot in the door now. When you graduate university, all these companies turn around and say they want 4 years plus experience. And how do you get years experience?" And you know, it's something that we're driving at the moment within Swyftx is we're doing graduate programs to help people get their foot in the door at that early stage so that they can build that experience at a young age. And you know, at that point in time, I went and got a job, and it was within skip tracing, so private investigations. And I absolutely loved it. I was paid nothing, paid absolutely nothing. And everyone's like, "Why did you stay there for so long?" And at that point in time, it wasn't about the money. It was about the opportunity that it was providing me. And so I turned that into a full-time job. Again, my 18-year-old brother said to me, "You're doing some pretty incredible work. You need to start to learn to build your personal brand. You need to promote what you're doing. You need to start networking." And that's one of the biggest things is I will always find time for events like this. We need to get out there. We need to network. We need to meet people. And after that, I kind of laughed at him and I said, "LinkedIn, don't really know what that is." And shortly after that, I moved over to Suncorp. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my time at Suncorp. However, one of the biggest things I learned was that there is so much red tape. And, you know, everyone is so stuck in their way. It's like having those people that, you know, they're comfortable with being comfortable and they don't want to change anything about it. And whilst I was there at Suncorp, you know, I did quite a few certificates. I did a graduate certificate in intelligence analysis. I already had my certificate 3 in investigations, private investigator's license. Now, mind you, I didn't pay for any of the certifications that I did. I asked the question. So I went to the leaders of those businesses and I said, "I want you to invest in me and I'm going to bring this back to your company." And not once have I been told no when doing that. And I think the biggest thing is people fear rejection. And you need to put yourself out there because you can learn from rejection as well. And you don't know until you ask the question. So as a part of that, when I was at Suncorp, that's when I started to really work on my personal brand, worked on my LinkedIn, and that's when Swyftx reached out to me. And they said, "We got this opportunity, do you want to come have a chat?" And this was 3 years ago. And I didn't know anything about crypto at that point in time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go have a chat. And I turn up there to the interview and I walk away and I was like, holy crap, this is too good to be true. I had no idea that this whole other world exists and the opportunities that actually presents for us. And I remember going home and again, I said to that same brother, I went for this interview. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've invested in Bitcoin." And I'm like, "Oh shit, am I late to the party?" And I realized that whilst Bitcoin was very cheap back then, I'm not late to the party at all. There is still so much opportunity within this space and there's so much growth. And I went from that very comfortable job to a space where there was a lot of unknowns. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to step outside my comfort zone and I'm going to do something that challenges me personally. And, you know, that's where now I'm here at Swyftx and I run a team of very, very intelligent people. You know, I have an engineer within my space and recently we hired a graduate engineer to work with him. And he turns around to me and he's like, "Gabby, she is so smart. She's so much smarter than me." And I said, "It doesn't matter. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. The smarter the people are around you and within your team, the more they uplift you." And I think that's one of the biggest things as leaders as well. We're consistently learning each and every day. And one of the biggest things that I kind of want to drive around my messaging is say yes to every opportunity. You don't know what that opportunity is going to lead you to. Make time for networking and building the connections. And step outside of your comfort zone. Like even getting up here and speaking today, like there's a lot of people that aren't natural born speakers. And, you know, I have been working on my LinkedIn, and I have done a lot of speaking events, and I'll always put myself forward to do that. However, there's a lot of people that will shy away from it. Just take that opportunity and learn from it. And I think one of the mantras I kind of live by is, and a lot of people hear me say it all the time, is don't let your dreams be dreams. And I think that's something incredible. Yes. And that's something that I live by each and every day. And, a project that I'll quickly touch on, because I'm probably running out of time, sorry, is, again, within my space, it's a challenge. You're a little bit of a punching bag in that our job is to protect the platform and protect our customers. However, there's a fine balance between customer experience and customer security. And one of the biggest things that I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to educate not only users on cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, the language surrounding it, but I'm also trying to educate the banks. We've got things like debanking going on and the likes. We need to start to educate them. We need to educate them on the opportunities and how this technology actually works, and that I think once they start to understand it, there'll be more adoption, and we'll start to see less roadblocks happening. And one of the biggest things that they talk about is the scams that are happening in this space. And I'll very openly talk about that the scams, opposed to the amount of legitimate transactions, is a very, very small percentage. And I think, no. And we don't want to hear about it either. We want to hear about the good news stories. And unfortunately, that's what makes it in the media, is all those negative stories. And that's where we're trying to think outside the box. How can we educate our users? Because the reality is sometimes some of those scams are quite sophisticated, right? And so one of the programs that Swyftx have recently launched is a scam learn and earn. And what we actually do is we reward our customers for going on and learning about the different scam red flags. And I've actually kind of gone and approached one of the universities to partner with us on a research project on this, to actually write up a paper on how powerful that program is and how powerful this technology is. And this university is actually extremely excited about this. And that's where I think about our teams. We aren't here for the doom and gloom. We're here to educate about this technology, and we're here to start to promote it and educate around all that negative sentiment so that we can help with that adoption moving forward. But I'll leave on the note of, don't let your dreams be dreams, and say yes to every single opportunity.
Thanks, Gabby. That was awesome. Thank you. That was wonderful. Next up is Danielle Marie. Danielle Marie needs a little introduction to most people in the room, but I've written something up anyway. She's a seasoned blockchain educator, crypto enthusiast, and a community leader. She spent years teaching at TAFE Queensland and formerly Solterra Learning before that. She has recently founded Women in Digital Economy. She's the founder of this meetup tonight, now 4 years plus strong, all things blockchain, of course, and also a former senior ambassador for Polkadot Blockchain Network. Will we hear about that tonight? Let's ask Danielle.
Thank you so much. All right, as I was listening, is this loud enough? Yeah, can you all hear me? As I was listening to you ladies tell your stories, I resonated with so much. So I'm going to try not to repeat myself. But one of the first things I would like to share with you is that my career started in this room. It started in 2019. Well, maybe I shouldn't say, I made the decision to start my career in this room. I had learned about cryptocurrency in, late 2017, early 2018, and I was like, I need to learn about this technology. I came to an event, somebody came up to me and they said, oh, what do you do in this space? And I said, oh, I don't know, but I want to do something. And they gave me an opportunity, and what did I say? So I said yes, and then I led on to become the first female to graduate the diploma and the advanced diploma of applied blockchain, and then went on to teach that for the last few years, because I came from a background of a high school dropout. I didn't have a technical background. I felt that I was not the smartest person in the room, but what did I do? I said, okay, what can I do really well? I've got 20 years hospitality experience. I can organize events. I can coordinate people. So I surrounded myself with people that were smarter than me and that could help me host these events. So that led me to founding All Things Blockchain in November 2020, and very proud as to where it has gone. Recently, I've been overseas and traveling, and I can't even say how proud I was to see the team. Makes me cry. Lead these amazing events. And some of my students that are in the room, the reason why they are where they are is because they said yes. So my encouragement to you is to say yes. Every time somebody gives you an opportunity, whether it's in Web 2 or Web 3, is to say yes and get out there. And there are no dumb questions. A lot of the times when I'm speaking, I just came from East Denver. It's like full of a whole bunch of developers. I'm like, no. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Okay, I don't understand what you're saying to me. It's all new. Half the time when you actually ask them to break it down and explain it to you, they can't because they don't know. They've watched a YouTube video and they're using fancy words. So just don't be afraid to ask questions, get out there. And also don't be afraid to ask for opportunities. Get out there and say, hey, I'm looking for an opportunity. And that's kind of what has led me to Women in Digital Economy, which is my main focus for 2025. And that is to help more specifically women, not just, I'm not excluding men, but specifically we definitely need more women into this space. So helping them kind of figure out what they want to do in this space, upskilling them and transferring them into the industry. Another thing that I really wanted to touch on is the community. So who here is relatively new to the Web3 space? Let's say under 6 months. Yeah, that's fine. Put your hands up. One of the things, and actually Nikita was with me in Vietnam. I'm going to tell you a quick little funny story. I didn't realize how powerful. Now, in Australia, we are a very tight-knit community. But when you start going to the overseas conferences, what I've started recently, there's also this like conference circle of like people that go around all over the world, and you kind of like make these friends. Anyways, fast forward, I finished Token 49. Nikita, who's one of my really good friends, who is not in crypto, but she comes along and I drag her to these things. I'm like, come to Vietnam, and we're in Vietnam, and I just message one person, and I say, hey, I'm in Vietnam, want to catch up, and then they message another person, they message. Next thing you know, we're at a dinner and there's 15 people. Nikita says to me, how do you know this many people in Vietnam? I'm like, I don't. This is just the crypto community. Like, we just like to catch up. We like to chat. We like to support each other. So that is probably one of the things that I absolutely love the most, is that we're all quite inviting. Now, there are some scammers in the room. Please do not give anybody your private keys. Nobody is that friendly that they're going to store them for you, okay? So please do educate yourself on how to stay safe. But the community, we're very welcoming and inviting, and so please keep coming and attending these events. And I think, my point to anybody that's looking to build a career or wants to learn more about this space is just keep showing up, keep coming to these events, keep saying yes, and keep learning.
Thanks, Danielle. Thanks so much, Danielle. The microphone's good. Next up, we have Tara Cooper from Cadena Legal, our last speaker tonight. And if there's a bit of time, we might have a Q&A, so store up some questions if you've got any quick questions before we head off to networking. Tara has worn a few hats in her career, her LinkedIn profile tells me, including working as an NDIS early childhood coordinator and a stint at an international real estate firm. So many and varied experiences. She now kicks goals, however, as the Director of Operations at Cadena Legal, founded by Harry Dell, a good friend of ours, which she joined in 2023. It's Tara Cooper.
Now, you'll have to forgive me because I am one of those people that just says yes to things. So this is my very first kind of speaking presentation. So bear with me. I do have notes, and I'm obviously not holding the mic close enough. So look, after hearing my bio, you might be wondering exactly what it is that I'm doing here and why I'm qualified to speak. And to be perfectly honest, when they asked me to do this, I essentially asked myself the same question. I didn't feel like I knew enough, didn't feel like I'd been in the space long enough, and I honestly just felt like I might be taking up a space that another incredible woman might be able to use for like a better purpose, essentially. My background isn't in tech. I can't code. Honestly, when I started with Cadena Legal, digital economy was just this kind of abstract concept on the fringe of my consciousness. I knew of it purely because I like to engage in learning, but like actually dabbling in it, never done it, didn't know anything about it. I feel like, statistically speaking, that feeling of like not knowing enough is pretty common. There's a heap of stats out there, depends who you ask as to which ones you go with. But there was a survey done where 59% of women surveyed said that they didn't go for a role in tech because they didn't feel like they were qualified, which is a staggering statistic given that there are so many incredible women out there who engage with technology every single day, who don't feel like they can step into that arena and sort of, move forward with it. Now I've lost my spot, sorry. Following that, depending on which source you use, the number of women actually working in the crypto industry varies between 10 and 20%. And out of that, 3% of founders are women. Let's just sit on that for a second because, again, there are so many women out there doing incredible things who have so much to give, but we just don't feel like we're confident enough to step into that space and, do something with it, which is a huge shame. So the question is, how do we open those doorways? How do we give women the confidence to step in and talk about those kinds of things? From my experience, it's about demystifying the industry. Now, a lot of the marketing out there, Viola, I know you're the exception, but a lot of the marketing is male pitched. It's about the newest, greatest, latest, shiniest thing that's going to make you a heap of money in a couple of days, and so you definitely want to get on board. And I'm a TradFi investor. I do a lot in that space, but that kind of marketing in the digital economy, it doesn't pull me. I understand quite clearly as a proud feminist that women have had to work exceptionally hard to get to where they are. We still, to this day, have to work harder to get our money, to be financially secure, and to be independent. All three things that you have to essentially invest. So it's not really something that appeals to me. So the first piece of tangible advice that I would give is to demystify the systems. Get in there, understand them. And at their core, Web3 businesses are businesses just like anything else. They have departments where they have accountants, they have marketing, they have executive assistants. They operate just like anybody else. And I guarantee that every single person in this room has a transferable skill that could get them in the door with a business to get them into the arena in the first place. That's how I got in. I was an executive assistant at Cadena Legal, and now as Director of Operations, I deal with crypto basically every single day. My job revolves around everything from marketing, IT, finance. I write policies that allow our clients to pay in crypto while also remaining safe and secure for the business. I look after the business's crypto accounts, making sure that we're still stable and that we're not losing out on that. And working with exchanges to then off-ramp that so that we can, continue to pay for things, because unfortunately most of the world still does operate in that kind of TradFi space. The second piece of advice would be to attend events like this. Just like all these other women have said, the community is super welcoming. Crypto faces a heap of challenges like debanking and the fact that a lot of people don't understand. So majority of the people in this space are looking to educate you. They want to have a chat, they want to break down those barriers, because until they do so, no one can adopt it. And what's the point of them working in a space and having all of that passion if no one else is interested in picking it up? It just doesn't work. So make the use of those connections, and also understand that nobody is an expert. It's way too wide and way too broad. Everyone's got their niche, and anyone who tells you that they understand everything, like Debora said, is lying to you. They don't. They can't. We're moving so fast that there's just no way. The last point, and the most important one, I think, is to remember that as women, we don't have to typify and we don't have to present with typically male characteristics in the business space. You don't have to. Lean into those things that make you feminine. Emotional intelligence, the consideration of the social impact of your work, and a softer method of support for those around you will encourage more people to come in. Posturing and telling people that you're amazing is not the way to bring people into a space. That's not to separate out our men. We also need you guys to step up and embrace the same things. We need you to bring us into the space rather than excluding us because maybe we don't understand or we don't speak the same language. Some of the most innovative products on the market to address issues faced by women, like Women's World Banking, which gives women entrepreneurs access to finances in a space where they may not necessarily be able to get their hands on traditional methods, is incredible, and it's led up by a woman. And it's those kinds of projects that do rely on that sort of understanding that what you are doing in this space does not necessarily have to be about making money, but it can be about supporting people in a more traditional sense so that people don't feel like you're running a scam. If what you're saying is, I can help you out and I can use this technology to do it, people are way more likely to ask you questions about it and actually want to understand and take in that information than if you just say, I can make you a quick buck and here's how. I think that the most important thing to remember is that if we aren't in the space, we can't move forwards. The theme of International Women's Day this week is to accelerate action, but if we're not present, we can't do that. Gender parity won't be reached by men. Unfortunately, fellas, you can't quite get there without us, you need us. And we need to accept that responsibility and also that right. We fought really hard to have these opportunities and we should be taking them. So instead of being held back by what you can't do, I'd say think about what you can do, rely on those networks that we're so good at creating as women, and make sure that you make your presence known as a woman, not as a man. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Tara. That was really awesome. Thank you, Tara, for her first time. That was absolutely awesome. Well done. And this mic keeps dropping in and out, Matt, and I might get cranky. But while I'm getting cranky, we're going to bring up the speakers again in speaker order if we can, from right to left, or my right to left. And it is that Viola is going to sit there, Tara will sit there, Gabby was in the middle. That was strategic because I thought that was a good position for the Swyftx speaker to be in. And Danielle, where's she gone? Danielle Marie, I need you to be vocal because I don't really have much Q&A. I'm relying, actually... I know. Now you're loading up on the red wine. Is this being recorded? I'm not on camera, so that doesn't mean I'm not in it. Are there any questions for our esteemed panel? Martin is always very, very good with a question. He's very participatory. Participatory. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, everyone. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, thanks. Are we directing to anyone particular or just... Okay. It's sort of focused, a question for Gabby, but maybe others can answer it. Was there any learnings out of the Bybit hack that happened recently that can be applied to both users and exchanges?
I can't answer that, that's for sure. I thought this question might come up, and I'm keen to get everyone else's thoughts. I probably won't say too much at this stage until it's all finalized, I guess. I think from what I've seen, it was very obvious techniques that were utilized, but still a very sophisticated attack at the same time. I think it's important that the businesses take this as a learning opportunity to review what we each do. I think Swyftx, we pride ourselves a lot on our security. However, there's always learnings, and we should use these to learn from them. One thing that I think has really impressed me is how the industry has rallied together. When this happened, you've got the best of the best blockchain analysts working around the clock to trace these funds. You've got Bybit that have released those bounties to, freeze those funds. So I think what we've seen within this industry is something that you will not see in the likes of TradFi going on. And, I've been working very closely with who we use for our blockchain investigations, and how quickly they jumped onto this. And most of your reputable exchanges as well will have appropriate alerts set up so that if and at what point they try and offboard these funds, exchanges will receive alerts for that. So I think the industry rallying together has been incredible. I think that there's still a lot of learnings for everyone, and everyone should, as within their organizations, pull this apart. I actually have a question for you to piggyback off of that with this whole Bybit hack. How do consumers, so if people remember when FTX happened, digital search, they got a bad publicity, because I always say to them that I know the founders very well, and they're not scammers. They just made a bad decision by transferring, I think it was like $63 million the day before FTX went down. So they probably made, they could have made better decisions on how they were diversifying their risk. Now, as consumers, how do we identify, like I've heard that Binance has a fund for if they get hacked that comes out of that so that it's not, it doesn't impact the users. So as a user, how do we educate ourselves on what exchanges, so Swyftx or Binance or Bybit or any of them, what are you guys doing in case these things happen? Because, there's these sophisticated scams, but how do we make sure that we're trusting exchanges that are doing the best that they can with their ability to protect the average day consumer?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And, it's many customers choose to hold their funds on exchanges, other customers choose to self-custody their funds, and you need to do your own research as to what best works for you, because, with the self-custody, if you lose your keys and the likes, there's no one that can recover that for you, so that becomes your responsibility. On the other hand, you put your trust within the exchanges. Now, I think, again, it's important, and I can't speak for all the exchanges. I can obviously speak to the robust security practices that Swyftx have and how we store our customer funds. However, the biggest advice I can say is do your research. It's much like any investment opportunity, right? When you go to buy a new house, when you're getting into stocks and shares and the likes, you're going to do your research around it. So do your research around the exchanges. And, if there are questions that you do want to ask of those individual exchanges about how they may store customer funds and the likes, reach out. Our cyber defense team, I won't speak too much on that because that does fall under our cyber defense team. However, they are more than happy to speak with customers to reinstate the trust in those customers.
I'd say just to piggyback off that, just for anyone that has crypto in exchanges, when all this is happening, you just never know when it's going to happen. I would just use the exchange as a means to an end and then get them off. Put it into a Trezor, put it into a ledger, like the whole not your crypto, not your tokens, all that stuff.
Not your keys, not your crypto.
That's the one, not your keys, not your crypto, whatever, that one. It's just just use the exchanges to buy crypto and, trade, whatever you use it for, and then just find a system or a tool that you really like and that you feel is safe, and then you have control over that. So whether that's a hard wallet, soft wallet, all that stuff, just YouTube it. YouTube is your best friend. I like Trezor because you can put the anonymous, like V for Vendetta dude as the little icon. It's really cool. Yeah, my affiliate link. No, I'm kidding.
On now, I think. Yeah, thanks for everything. It's very enlightening and all that. So what specific skills would you suggest for somebody looking to get into the Web3 and crypto space? Like, what is like a starting point that you can build up your skills with in order to be able to go to an employer or someone in the space and say, hey, I've got this skill already and it could be developed?
Well, I think that falls under exactly what the mentorship program of Women in Digital Economy is. So the first thing that I would do, sorry, what was your name? Bridget. Bridget, if you and I were speaking, the first thing I would do is just learn a little bit about you. What do you do now? What do you like that you're doing now? What do you do not like? If you would have met me 15 years ago, I hated my job in hospitality, but what was I good at? So that would be the first conversation that I would have with you. Then I would do a little bit of kind of exploring of, okay, have you dabbled? Okay, are you creative? Do you want to be like an NFT person? Do you want to be a degen? If you don't know what a degen is, that's like, trading. I am the worst degen, so I do not want to be a degen. So I would work with you on that. And then what we do is we identify your current skill sets and we identify where you want to go. And then we match you. Who was I speaking with earlier? I think it was you, Debora, where I'm going to open up doors for opportunities. Like I met a young lady at East Denver, and I said, what do you do? And she goes, oh, I want to get a junior role in marketing. I've just graduated. I was like, how is this woman at East Denver, and if anybody doesn't know anything about East Denver, it's like the biggest dev conference. Like, it was kind of weird. And I'm like, how are you here? Like, if you don't mind me asking, you know, it's not like a beginner's place. And her boyfriend works for the ETH Foundation. And I said to her, I was like, oh, well, I have an internship position, and she jumped at it. She wanted that opportunity. So then that's my goal, is to find women such as yourself, Bridget, that are looking for an opportunity, and they just need a bit of guidance and a bit of pathway. So I'd love to connect with you and see how I could help you on your journey.
Lisa Hornery from Kraken Exchange. I'd just like to say that every single one of you are absolute inspirations, because you have all said exactly the same thing but in different ways, and that is morph your skills. Just morph them. It doesn't matter which background you come from, how much you know, how much you don't know. And I am so much older than all of you. I'm probably older if you added up all of your ages together, but no, they need to go to
We have good
Specsavers.
skincare.
But honestly, I mean, some of you have heard my story before, but I came from hand signalling on the floor of the Futures Exchange in Sydney to this. So I have seen everything, and all I've done is morph my skills. So I've gone from floor trading to screen trading to Web 2 and now into Web 3. And all you do is morph your skills, and it's all the same. It's a market is a market is a market. Yes, crypto has got its nuances, but so do cars, so do houses, so do securities, so do bonds, so do movies, so do everything. And the comment was more a comment than anything else, but it was to back up what Danielle was saying. If you want to get into the space, use the skills you've got. Yep. Because as women, sorry men, but as women, we are very, very talented at using our skills. And if we don't really know it, you just say it with attitude, and people believe what you say.
Yes,
but I think that goes based off what you were saying, Tara, the confidence thing.
Yeah.
And it took me a while, and it was actually a male ally that gave me the encouragement. And I'm not going to get here and waffle on, or I've had some experiences that in the industry. We have a lot of amazing male allies, but at the same time, it is a male-dominated industry. And it doesn't matter. I'm sure the same stories if I went to somebody that worked in construction, or if somebody worked in the mines, or whatever, they would say, okay, well, their opportunity came attached with this, or it was this. Like, you know, let's be honest, that happens everywhere in every industry. And I want to take some of that away, but then I also want to help the women. I've had it where it's their first speaking gig, and I encourage them, and they say yes, and then they get off the stage, and they're like hooked, and they're like, oh, I can't wait to do it again. But they just needed that person to give them that confidence to get up there the first time.
Oh, also, while I quickly think about that, a sure way to see what skills are necessary is to look at job boards made by venture capital firms. Like it's like a super like back end thing, but they post their stuff on LinkedIn. Like the other day, I was scrolling on LinkedIn, and there were like 20 AI startups that were in like sort of doing really cool stuff that were looking for all sorts of different people. Like instead of trying to figure out what to learn, just see what's in demand and then fill that gap. Like just be value oriented rather than like trying to fit like your circle into a square. Like just see what they even want. That'd be my like number one thing. Plus, what are you really good at? Or like, what do you really want to do? Because like, there's no point learning marketing if that's the last thing you want to do. Because then you'll end up hating the Web3 space. It's no different than working for a dentistry thing. But someone will love it, right? Or someone like loves using Canva, and like, you know, like that sort of thing. Like it's the ikigai thing. Like look that up. It's so good. Learn that shit. Learn that beep. I need to stop. Okay.
Yeah. It's okay. Try now. You don't have to be any certain kind of gender Okay, there are types of people that, and I can give you the answer why, but there are types of people that procrastinate, stagnate, and elevate. Now, why is that? All right, that's a general question too, because you're obviously people that have decided to elevate. So if you get somebody, okay, that, you know, might be thinking about what they're doing, they're procrastinating. If you're getting somebody that just decides, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. The comment was made about, and I think it was the lady in the middle, I apologise, I can't remember your name, Gabby, and you were saying they were sitting there comfortable in their own ways and didn't really want to know any more than what they had to. So my take on this is that how you can help people is encourage their personality development. All right, now emotional development, you know, emotional intelligence is very important to me, all right, because I think that makes you a much better person. But personality development can help decide how you become more successful. And once you know all the different styles of personality, then if you're in a leadership position, you can start bringing different personalities to those people that they need to be able to better themselves.
I'm going to give both the ends, maybe Viola first and then Tara to finish, because Tara's brought a lot of wisdom. Thank you, David. David always brings wisdom from lived experience, both in business and life. I'm going to give Viola a few words and then Tara to finish. We really are almost at time, but a few quick thoughts. Doesn't have to be on there's no battle between men and women here.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting what David's raised there. So, yeah. Any thoughts?
Personality development and procrastination. That's a really good concept to tap on as well, because recently I actually was reviewing my personal working style, and we're recently hiring as well, so I guess tap back to the question as well. We started to look at resumes and look at other candidates that have been coming in. None of them knew about crypto, so the thing that got them to have a conversation with us is just the rule of applying and some skill set that might match what we're looking for. So when I was talking to the candidates, I found that I didn't even really care about much of their current skills. Like having some would be great, like I can train you on it, like absolutely. But I care more about did they actually did their research? Like did you actually look at what we do? Like I care much more about your passion and your willingness to learn, because in the space what I know today might not be relevant in a few months' time even. So I much care about the ability to learn and adapt, because that's one of the things that I guess touch back on personality is adaptability is one of my key things, if not number one quality that I look for in people that join my team or people that I work with. If they are not willing to change the way that they work, we won't survive in the crypto business. So I feel like that is one thing. But going back to procrastination that might apply to more people is I've been reviewing my personal usage of my phone, because I find that that's the biggest distraction. As a person that grew up with social media, we got a lot of notification coming in every single day. I recently downloaded an app that might be a cool recommendation today. It's called Breathe Presence, and it locks your apps for you. So you can only open them for a certain amount of time and certain amount of minutes. So I've locked my TikTok, I've locked my Instagram. Do not bother me when I'm working, and I can start blocking session as well. So I can just block out all the apps other than the business-related apps as well. So I find that is has changed quite a bit of my daily schedule, because sometimes you just mindlessly, when you're taking a break, you just mindlessly take yourself somewhere else, and it takes a long time to come back. I just found that by blocking, it helped me, because I don't have much self-discipline. I work remotely at home as well. So the couch is right next door, a few steps away. So very tempting.
I have one suggestion. I know, Matt, you didn't say that, but just on that, I've been using a kitchen timer and you put like 15 minutes and you're like, I'm not doing anything except for this task, and you try and like race against the clock, trust me, you guys will.
Deb, there's a reason why you were a COO, right? Like you're highly organized.
It is insane how much more efficient you are when you have this like ticking time bomb right there. Trust me. Get like a
I have another app.
kitchen timer.
I
Go
have
to
another
Kmart.
app like that. Yeah.
Get one. So cool.
Oh, the lawyers.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
6-minute intervals.
Yes, we do.
We're spitting facts here now. We're spitting facts. Let's give Tara Cooper the last word.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about procrastination in the sense of your career, because, you know, procrastination in your day-to-day tasks, everyone faces that. You know, these ladies have covered that off pretty well. I think procrastination in your career, particularly for women, generally comes from a place of fear. And again, it comes back to that sort of historic, where essentially we've been reliant on men for our financial independence, our sexual independence, if you want to go there. Like all of those freedoms are so new to us, and we've worked so hard to get there that we're so scared of stepping outside of a zone where we are comfortable and confident, because, you know, if you aren't confident, then you know, to speak generally, the men in the room and the other women tend to question your competence. And so it's much easier to sit there and consider, like, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do this, while sitting there in a space where you are comfortable and you are earning a steady income and you are able to pay your rent and look after your kids and contribute to that household in some small way, than take the leap. And I think that taking the leap it's a privilege. It's an absolute privilege. It's one that I don't take lightly. I have worked very hard to get to where I am, but I've also been privileged in the fact that I've been able to take those leaps from some good choices that I made as a very uneducated young person. And so when it comes to procrastination in that sense, I think what we need to do is, again, make women comfortable to take those leaps. And what we have to do is open up those doorways for them and give them that freedom. And that comes from things like wage parity, you know, elevating women into CEO positions, giving them role models that make them go, actually, I can take this jump and still be safe. You know, I can still live independently if I do this. And that's going to take time. I think the current prediction is something like 2459 or something that will reach gender parity and be able to take those steps. But, you know, again, to any women out there who are procrastinating, I would say take the step, do it in a measured way so that you feel safe. Don't go too far, you know. I know that sounds like I'm kind of naysaying, but reality is that you want to take the step to the point where you are pushing your boundaries and making the most of what you have without throwing yourself off the edge of a cliff that you can't come back from.
Excellent. On that note, big round of applause for all our participants tonight. It's been Viola Hui from Virgo Exchange, Debora Kocak from Granton, Gabby Lewis from Swyftx, Danielle Marie needs no introduction, and Tara Cooper, Director of Operations at Cadena Legal. Well, next month we have our special Virgo event. It's time for Virgo Exchange to launch their product. I hope you'll all join us. We're always on meetup.com and Luma. And this has been All Things Blockchain for March 2025. Thank you and good night. Thanks, everyone.